guys, welcome to my channel. Today's video I am sharing our homeschool language arts curriculum picks for the upcoming homeschool year. In this video I'm sharing specifically what my soon-to-be 5th grader and soon-to-be 3rd grade daughters will be using, because a lot of their language arts curriculum does go together. A lot of these things together this current year, and we're going to continue that in the homeschool year. I do also have a 4-year-old who will be starting his official pre-K this upcoming year, and I'll be sharing a separate video specifically to all things pre-K, so I won't be including those in this video. This video is part of a collaboration hosted by Shauna from Homegrown Homeschool and Devine from Calm in the Chaos. I have done a bunch of collabs with these wonderful ladies, and I will link both their channels down below and the entire playlist. So if you're interested to see just a bunch of different language arts curriculum and approaches, piece it together, do they use it all in one, you'll definitely want to check out the entire playlist down below. So like I mentioned, my soon-to-be 5th grader and 3rd grader, they do a lot of these subjects together. That's not how it's always been. When we first started homeschooling and for the first couple years, we were using The Good and the Beautiful. It was easy, it was open and go, everything was in there, but it just stopped working for us at the beginning of this current school year. And so midway throughout the year, we switched and we started really piecing together a lot of our language arts curriculum, and that is why my daughters do it together now, is because a lot of the curriculum I found kind of spans over age ranges. Because they are 2 grade levels apart, I do sometimes have a little bit stricter of rules my older daughter has to follow, a little bit more lenient with my younger daughter, or we take a little bit more time to complete things, or to be honest, if we're reading a more challenging book and my older daughter is the one who's answering the discussion questions a little bit more, then we kind of just go that route. I want to cater to both their ages, but I don't want to hold anyone back, and I also don't want to cause frustration either. So we're always adapting, and that's how we make it work with the 2 different grade levels. So for writing, we are using IEW Structure and Style Year 1 Level A, and so this was something we actually started this current year. We did the first 3 units. So we did units 1, 2, and 3, and then we stopped. And so when we start this new school year, we'll be starting on unit 4 and completing units 4, 5, 6, and 7. And so we may end this early before our next school year ends, and we'll either, just depending on where we're at, we'll get the next level or work on something else. But this is for grades 3 to 5, and so even though we started it this current year, my current 2nd grader has been able to keep up. But like I said, I'm not as strict with her because she is a lot younger taking this course. So we kind of just adapt it. I think for 1 week of lessons, we normally spend 2 weeks doing it, and that's 1, so they don't get frustrated with it, and 2, we only homeschool 3 days a week, and so we cram a lot of stuff in those 3 days. So this spreading it out over the 2 weeks really does help. We've also been using from Guest Hollow Beowulf Grammar. This was also something we started this current year. We did the first, the first semester, I guess. I think it's the first 10 weeks. And then we have, I think, 2 more semesters or 3 more semesters. So again, this will take us into our next school year. This ranges from grades 2 to 6. So same thing. I kind of just go a little bit more in depth with my older daughter and keep it pretty, to the point with my younger daughter. After this, we will be moving into Fix-It Grammar. So we did try Fix-It Grammar and we really liked it. My kids really liked it. I just felt like they needed a better base level before that type of curriculum is used. So I know for sure after we complete all of this that they're going to be great for Fix-It Grammar, and that will transition into. For spelling and vocabulary, we have been using Word Roots. This is the beginner level, so this is really getting them to understand just the concept of a root word, of a prefix, of a suffix. And so this is one of the smallest Word Roots levels, and this is for grades 3 to 4. And so we've started working through this, and again, this will take us into our next school year. Once we complete this, then we will move on to level 1. Something I've been doing with these words for my older daughter is I have been treating the words that she's learning as spelling words, and kind of having her test on those. So that's kind of the only adaptation between my older daughter and my middle daughter is my older daughter gets tested on the spelling of these words. Both my daughters will continue doing handwriting this upcoming year. They both are learning cursive. My current second grader, she has started cursive. She is doing the first book from Handwriting Without Tears. I don't remember what it's called, but she's about to complete that, and so then she'll move into this one. This is our first time using Handwriting Without Tears. The level before this is what she's working on, and I do like it. It's a little bit different. The only thing that I've noticed is I think it's letter Q or Z, I can't remember. It's done differently or it's Q, it's letter Q. My older daughter has been using the Good and the Beautiful handwriting, and it just happened they were both doing a handwriting cursive page with Qs, and their Qs looked completely different, and I was so confused. And so the way that this teaches Qs is not what I'm used to or traditional, as well as just the way that this cursive is kind of laid out. I think it's good for younger students learning cursive, but I mean, this is more than halfway through this book, and it's still just very like a mix of print, I guess, in cursive. So I don't know if I'm gonna end up changing this either back to the Good and the Beautiful because we've just used that and that works, or looking for something different. We will see. And then for my older daughter, she's already done a few years of cursive and she has the basics down. She knows how to write all the letters. She really just needs to work on continuing to practice, formulating her own handwriting style. No more tracing, like really just, reread something and write it. And so I found this, His Story Handwriting, exploring handwriting through scripture. And so basically she's just reading verses and scripture, and she's just rewriting them, copying them. It's a lot smaller and closer together. This will also help her continue to develop being able to read cursive. That's something that is a little bit more important to me. I don't want them to be, I don't think that they're just going to be writing papers in cursive. I think they're going to use it to develop their own handwriting, but I really want them to be able to read cursive and older cursive. So what's really funny is my grandmother, so their great grandmother, I get her groceries for her every week, and she writes a list in cursive, and she has like very difficult cursive to read because it is just, well, first of all, she writes in like a light purple pen, so that always makes it really fun, but it's like super close together. So we've been just practicing. I'm like, tell me what's on the list, and they're kind of, deciphering between that. So that will be my 5th grader's handwriting. And then moving on to the fun part is kind of like our reading, what books we're going to be reading, literature guides, unit studies. So we love unit studies. We do a lot of them together, and a lot of them end up being based on reading a book, some language arts in there. So we've been doing a lot of moving beyond the page units, and they're fine. I really enjoy the schedule. Like, it tells you read this chapter, and then it gives you discussion questions and the answer. And so that has been working like really great for us. And then there's always like 3 activities per like chapter or lesson that you can do. We don't always do a ton of the activities because it's either covering things we've already learned, like in grammar. So just because I feel like we skip through so much of that, I have been on the look for other literature guides. Like I said, I really like that it tells us like what lessons to read, what chapters. That just takes something out of my brain, less that I have to schedule. And I really like the discussion questions with answers because I work full-time, and so normally when they're doing their read alouds, I'm not with them. Sometimes I am, but not always, because I'm working. So those discussion questions and answers really helps me, 1, understand what book they're reading if I haven't read it already, and 2, really make sure that they're paying attention because that they know these questions are coming. So those are really my only requirements in a literature guide. Is I want it to be cost effective because we run through them really quickly. So they need to be cost effective, and I want discussion questions with answers, and I would like some sort of like, hey, read this chapter or read these chapters together. So those are really like my only wish list. So what I'm doing is I went through our homeschool room and our library because we have so many books, and I was like, I'm not buying any new books because we have a ton that we need to read. So I had both my daughters pick a book that they want to read this school year, and then I picked the rest. So I picked all the books first, and then I just went online and started researching, okay, you know, this is the book, what literature guides are available, and do these literature guides meet my wish list? And so I picked 7 books for the upcoming school year. Now, I feel pretty confident we'll be able to do that because we're doing it together. So we already have like a time slot in our homeschool day where we know that reading is happening. And so I feel super confident we'll get through these 7 books. There may be more. We'll see. I know I want to do like a Christmas theme one or maybe a Thanksgiving one, but these are ones that we'll just work on throughout the year. And so with that, I will have, actually there's 8 books. I'm lying. There's 8 books. And that means there's going to be 8 different literature guides, which sounds crazy, right? There's so many literature guides out there that really it's hard to pick, but they're all so different at the same time. So I'm going to share the actual books in this video, and then once I actually physically get all the literature guides, because I had to order them all, I'm going to do a separate video on all the literature guides, and then I'll do individual videos on each like guide and book together. So lots of those coming out, but that will be way more into the homeschool year. All right, so this is our book stack of the 8 books that we're going to be reading over the upcoming homeschool year. We are going to be reading Iggy's House by Judy Blume, from C.S. Lewis, The Magician's Nephew. This is book 1 in the Chronicles of Narnia, and The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, which is book 2. Matilda, Pax, The Bridge to Terabithia, and then these are the 2 that my daughters picked. So like I said, I told them on our bookshelves, you each pick a book. Now we're all going to be reading it together, but at least they had a little bit of buy-in picking it themselves. So my oldest daughter picked Charlie and Frog, a Mystery. We've had this book sitting on our shelves for a while, and she's really wanted to read it because American Sign Language is incorporated into it, and that's the foreign language that she learns and really loves. And so she's really been wanting to read this book. So I found a literature guide on it, so we are going to tackle this year. And then my other daughter picked the Candy Makers, and so this is a pretty large book. I heard it's really good, and again, I found a lit guide on it, so we're gonna tackle this one as well. So that is everything that my kids, my older 2, so my 5th and 3rd grader, are going to be using for language arts. If you have any questions, leave those down below in the comments. I always love chatting with you guys. I learned so much from your guys' recommendations, so feel free to drop anything down below. Also, don't forget that this is a collaboration. Shauna and Davine always put these together, so go check out that entire playlist and get some more great ideas for how other moms are handling language arts in their homeschool. Thanks so much for watching today, guys. We will chat soon. Bye.